I am getting ready to dismantle this tower and soak it so I can put in a bunch of the plants that I popped into this tower garden the other day. So these have to be separated because you don't want more than one cabbage in here. And at this point I've got multiples, like this is 4 plants in there, so those need to be separated, but then I need to have a place to put them. So I'm going to dismantle this one and take it apart, soak it in citric acid, run these pieces, these can be run into through the dishwasher, and then they will come out super clean without any kind of scrubbing. I wanted to point out something that was kind of interesting. I unplugged this tower a couple months ago, probably 2 months ago, and look, these tomatoes are still trying to they're trying to produce, which is crazy because I have not added any nutrients or water, but there's probably still water in here because that's where the roots go down into. So yeah, you can't, there's a lot of roots in there. So yeah, time to clean it up for the fall and winter garden. Okay, so it's time to take apart this tower that produced amazing tomatoes and other produce all through the summer, but I turned it off a couple months ago and I was getting ready for the fall harvest. So the first thing I'm going to do is take apart the tomato cage, or the support cage. It's very, very simple to do. There's wing nuts on this side and over on this side. Actually, before I take apart the support cage, I call it the tomato cage, but really it's just a support cage for anything that needs support. Before I do that, I really need to cut this plant out, which I need to do that first. There's a few little tomatoes. They're just little green tomatoes. I'll probably just set them aside and they can get ripe. We'll eat them. Okay. So I have cut off all of the tomato stems and things like that, and I took a bunch of cuttings that may or may not root. I've tried to do it before, but it just depends on the season and what part of the tomato plant you cut, but I figured why not? What do I got to lose? These are the black cherry tomatoes that are really prolific in the summertime. So I've already started to take apart the tomato cage. It just lifts up like this. One thing when you're taking apart the tower, you want to make sure you hold on to all of the wing nuts and the washers and things like that. Normally I put them in like a little container, but I didn't get one, so I'm just kind of corralling them over here. The support cage does keep this top part, it does keep it attached to the reservoir, but I've already unscrewed it, so now it's technically loose, but when the support cage is on, this is also attached to the reservoir. I immediately put the wing nuts back on. They're so easy to lose. I will soak the the cage in citric acid, maybe just the sticks, but maybe not. They don't get super dirty. Okay, so this bolt is stuck on the end of this, so I'm not going to stress about that too much. The bolts that you get, or the nuts, not the bolts, the nuts you get with the tower, they don't rust. But I lost some, and the ones I replaced them with do rust. So it looks like it's rusted on there. Okay, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right here, that rusted right on there. I had to replace it with, so I'm probably gonna just leave it on there, or maybe spray it with a little, maybe WD-40 or something to get it off later. But anyway, it's off now, and I am putting the wing nut back on the other end so I don't lose that. This is the first time it's ever rusted, so note to self. Okay. So, the cage is off, the tomato support cage. Okay, so the support cage is off. This actually can now be lifted up, and you will see a massive amount of roots in the bottom of this, and this is all gonna have to come out. There's also, the pump is here. Normally you can just unscrew it from the bottom of the tower, but these tomato plants were so big that I did not, I can't see where it's attached at the bottom of the tower. I think you're supposed to cut the tomato roots, or you're supposed to reach in unplug everything, reach in, cut the roots, you know, back to about there. I just didn't do it, you know. Survival of the fittest. And this tower hasn't been cleaned for probably about a year. So, and here's the pump. I'll just hose that off. This part snaps off, but I'll do that later to clean it. So now, I could just start taking the tower apart. Again, hold on to your wing nuts and your washers, or you will be very sorry. You will be sad, because you'll have to get more. So, inside the tower, you can see it's you know, funky. It's a lot of mineral deposits and stuff like that, but it will all soak off with citric acid. We're going to fill this up with water and citric acid. We're going to put each of these pieces in there, let it soak overnight, come back in the morning, and I'll show you how clean they get. So, very easy. I'm not into scrubbing and all that stuff. Easy is good. All right, so when I started pulling out the roots, you can see that they are pretty intense, but I think I can still save this basket. I can either cut them or just tear them if they're old enough. And then the basket, it's not torn or anything. It's a little misshapen, but that's not going to hurt anything. So I'll just clean it out. I'll also be soaking that in citric acid and reuse the net pot. So yeah, that's worth saving. So I have gotten the support cage off, and I've got the other units, the pieces off. I've got the pump out. I planted tomatoes at the bottom. Now, tomatoes have a lot of roots, okay? These roots have been here for months and months and months. So what you have to do when you're dealing with this kind of root structure, you really have to go in and start just cutting it. Of course, you want to be careful. You don't want to cut into this. So I'm just gonna kind of snip away until I get the roots out of there, because I can't pull this. I can't pull it out. I can't pull it down and out, and I can't pull it through the top because it's just really enmeshed in there. Okay, so I have cut all of these off, and I can just pull this out, pull it right through. And this will all go in the compost. Let's put it over there for now. And then I can come back and I can easily unscrew this. And then I should be able to pull out the tomatoes from here, hopefully. We'll see. I can't do it with one hand, really. Okay, so I've got the tomato parts taken out. I've got the roots over there ready for the compost. This is the water that's been sitting in here for a while. This is really good water. I don't know if I can carry it to the compost, but if I can, I'll probably put it over there. One thing you want to do before you start filling this up with fresh water and the citric acid, other than dumping this out, you want to just hose off the pieces that were left. Yeah, you don't want to have, you don't need to have that in your nice fresh citric acid water that we're going to put together and soak everything in. So this tower sat for about 2 months. I just didn't have anything I was ready to put in there. So next step will be filling it with water, hosing these off maybe a little bit. There's really not much to hose off. All of those that's all mineral deposits. That will not come off with just water. Gotta have the citric acid or vinegar. Okay, now we start the process of soaking everything. So I'm gonna fill the reservoir with water, and then I'm going to put in about 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of citric acid, and it's going to soak overnight. This is 1/4 of a cup, so I'll put in about 6 of those. It'll dissolve pretty quickly, and then once I have in all of my citric acid, that's 2, 4, and I'll just do a couple more for good measure, because I am not going to be scrubbing these. I'm just going to let them soak, and most of the stuff will just come right off in this thing. So I've got that, and then I'm just going to pop in all the things that need to be soaked. And I'll probably spray that off a little bit because it's gone now. So I'll just put that right in there. Everything can go in there. This can go in there. Now, I will not soak the pump in there for any more than maybe just about 5 minutes, because we don't really need to I don't want to do that to the pump. I don't think it's good for it. So put in the rods. Oh, you can put in the net pots also. You can just go right in there and just separate them. And then when we come out tomorrow, everything will be super nice and clean. It'll be great. I probably will spray these off a little bit, just to make sure that they're not, I don't want extra debris, so I'll hose those off first.